Hey everyone, so this is my review of the Netflix series Defenders. And essentially, if you don't know what this whole series is about, is that it's this big sort of team-up collaboration from several other Netflix series where they're finally bringing together Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones to sort of defeat the Hand that has been somewhat of hinted at in each of their separate series. And so it's all of them together to defeat the Hand once and for all. And this was a fairly good series. I'd say out of all of the different sort of these Defenders Netflix series, I would rank this one either 3 or 4 of my favorites, where it goes Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, then somewhat of a tie between this one and Daredevil Season 2, and then Daredevil Season 1 and Iron Fist. So it is a very, very good series, and I definitely do agree with what a lot of people are thinking and what a lot of people said even before this series came out, that dropping this season down to only being 8 episodes instead of what all the other ones had, which was 13 episodes, is a really good idea. Because in all the other ones, there was just so much boring sort of moments, and just a lot of each one had definitely an episode that could have gone without. So that was good, because with it just being 8, it just really stuck to the action and stuck to the story and didn't have a lot of those boring moments in it. And it did a good job at bouncing back between each character really well, and having each of them sort of have their own storyline as well as working together. And just all that, I really enjoyed that they did manage to do that fairly smoothly. And I am a little disappointed that there wasn't a whole lot to do with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. They were just kind of sort of almost a little bit more than side characters. And that's understandable with the Hand, because only Daredevil and Iron Fist really had dealt with the Hand before. So it was sort of a new thing for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, and it was very much out of their element, and you could definitely see that. But I did enjoy that Luke Cage and Jessica Jones still managed to sort of hold their own in that field and hold their own against the Hand in their own sort of unique ways. So that I love that they weren't just completely thrown out there, that they did have these sort of moments with them, but they were definitely out of their elements. Then it felt a little weird with what they did with each of the different sort of side characters and each of the different main heroes' stories, and how little they showed of them. I definitely like that it wasn't oh, this whole series is all about Daredevil or it's all about Iron Fist, because of the fact that their characters are shown more often. That each of them had these sort of unique moments for each side character, but it wasn't over the top or trying to fit the side characters in too much. And I definitely do enjoy that they did have these moments with Colleen and her sort of figuring out where she fits into everything with Iron Fist and where she fits into the whole sort of hero story, because she is more important than some of the other ones, because she can hold her own and she can fight and she knows what's going on. So I do like that they did give her a bit more of a moment than everyone else, but did feel a little bit weird with what they did with Foggy and Trish, and where they tried to give them each sort of moments in there. And some of those moments really stuck and were great, and some of those moments felt a little weird and forced. So it wasn't the best for the side characters in this series, but still they did have good moments, and I like how they did try and include as many of them as possible. Then all the action scenes in this series, I was a little bit worried about that they were either going to be too over the top or too cheesy and stuff, and that for the most part they did really stick to having each of the action parts be good for each of the different characters, with having each of them having their own fighting styles thrown in there, and somehow managing to merge that to make a good sort of fighting force up against the Hand. Then I fairly enjoyed what they did with the Hand, especially with what they refer to as the 5 fingers of the Hand, and how they introduced each of those sort of fingers was interesting, with some of them being people that we've met before and some of them being characters that we haven't. And each of those members did have a really great sort of iconic moment within this season, and I just really enjoyed seeing how each of them sort of fought with each other as well as worked together. And especially with what they did with Alexandra, which was sort of this main sort of villain that they were sort of bringing out as like the head of the hand and all this stuff. What they did with her was fairly interesting, but it wasn't the greatest in my mind, because the fact that she was supposed to be this big bad villain, but she just didn't seem to match up to what they were sort of holding her up to be. A lot of the other members of the Hand did, but she was supposed to be this big bad, and I just didn't feel that with her. She just felt like this weird figure that was sort of there to block the others from getting to the Defenders, and from the Defenders to getting to the other members of the Hand. And she just felt really kind of weird, because she was just so dependent on the Black Sky, and just everything about that felt really weird and really kind of weak towards what I felt like they should have done with this big bad character that they were showing off. Then what they did with the Black Sky / Elektra was really great, with how they sort of built her story arc within this season, and just I loved every moment with her and her sort of developing and figuring out who she is. And with all that, it did get a little annoying with those moments between Daredevil and Elektra, with Daredevil constantly trying to go and remind the Black Sky that she is Elektra, and trying to remind her of all those past moments. Yes, that was necessary for the story arc of the Black Sky, but it was a little annoying how every single fight scene Daredevil tried to do that. And I do have to say that just overall, this was such a great series. It definitely wasn't one of my favorites out of all these sort of Defenders Netflix series, but it still was very great and definitely worth a watch. And yes, there are some moments I do have to say where it is kind of necessary to watch some of the other Netflix series to be able to understand the characters and know who's connected to who and stuff like that. It is kind of necessary, but I feel like for the most part of the big broader story of this, that you definitely could possibly go into this series without any knowledge of the other ones and still fairly enjoy it, but you would be definitely confused at some moments here and there. But I do have to say, overall, I still really loved it, and I definitely can't wait to see what they're going to do with the Punisher series and what they're going to do with Jessica Jones Season 2 and just all these different series. I'm super excited to see what they're going to do next, and I definitely cannot wait, especially for Jessica Jones Season 2. Like I said, out of all of them, that's still my top ranking favorite one. So yeah, that's my review of The Defenders Season 1. So yeah.